Good morning, Ravi. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Wonderful. We're super happy to have you join us today. And we're excited to learn more about TensorIoT, very much so, which is one of the top partners for AWS focusing on IoT and AI. So this is a real treat for us to understand, particularly from somebody who has such an interesting past as yourself, as a former AWS IoT AI specialist, global specialist. I mean, it will be really interesting to understand your background and how that ultimately encouraged you to start TensorIoT. So we'd love to learn more
Sure,
about it.
sure, absolutely. Hey, again, thank you for having me here, and thank you for letting me talk about TensorIoT. And To talk about my background, right? I used to, way back when, past life used to be in app dev roles and technical lead roles from application development standpoint. And then from there, moved into data-based roles on when I was with Freddie Mac and Deloitte and all that. And I joined AWS where I was in the IoT and AI ML global professional services field. And I saw that customers, and this was back in 2017, where I saw that customers were still getting up to the speed of idea of IoT and ML at that point, right? Democratizing that side of the world. And there was a lot of opportunity in not just bringing the customers on to get them started to IoT ML, but also there was a gap where okay, once I get started, how do I productionalize it? How do I scale it? And how do I support it after I scale? We saw a lot of customers ask the same question over and over again. So then I was like, this is an opportunity where I can help the customers even more by starting a company that focuses on these things, right? So that's where that was the idea of TensorIoT, where we want to help customers like the way AWS does. We want to help customers with their journey in IoT and machine learning.
So you're born in the cloud. You
Yeah.
have all these options that you could potentially explore, GCP, Azure, etc. You stayed loyal to your AWS history. And why is that? What's unique about AWS for your business?
Sure. So it was actually a very easy choice, to be very honest, right? The reason is ecosystem. And this is what we tell our customers all the time, right? Instead of looking at one service at a time, you need to look at the ecosystem that a cloud provider offers. And talking about AWS, we are exclusive to AWS and super, super proud of it, right? But talking about AWS, the ecosystem makes all of the difference, right? You can take a single workload, but then once you start working on that problem, the other things that you can explore using the data that you have brought into AWS is just phenomenally vast with respect to AWS. And the other part as well is it's not just vast, it's also deep, right? You take any single service, you can do n things, but each one of those things you can go really deep and achieve this insights out of it. And with respect to IoT and ML, having been there inside AWS, seeing how it evolved, and then now looking at how quickly it's iterating, the thing that we tell our customers is that let's not worry about building the service. Let's AWS build a service for you, right? But you should leverage and get to market faster. That's all it's all about. How it's not just about connecting and getting your data there, but once your data is there, what all you can do with your data. At the end of the day, that they are connecting and sending them data to the cloud, getting the machine learning stuff to the cloud for some insight. So get all the insights that you can get using the plethora of services AWS has. That makes all of the difference. So that's why the choice is really easy, and I don't see that changing anytime soon either. Because I come November, everything I knew about AWS now, we have to learn 100 new services, and so many new services that they bring out because they are innovating at a very rapid pace, right? So it makes life a lot easier for folks like us.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned, and thank you for that, insights and making things easier for people.
Yeah.
So I'd love to explore something that we were talking about just briefly, and that's the solution you designed to develop for Reliance Steel. when you look at predictive maintenance management and how IoT is involved ultimately in shaping that ability for an organization to have predictive maintenance management capabilities, that's incredibly insightful to have in terms of information to fix stuff before it breaks. I mean, that's the most wonderful thing. So how did you help them succeed in achieving that state of bliss?
Sure. Yeah. No, we had a really good stakeholder at Reliance Steel who was seeing things 2 years ahead of time, 3 years ahead of time, right? And what happened was they really wanted us to help them with implementing a solution that can solve the predictive, the maintenance problem that you talked about, right? The biggest issue is having an unscheduled maintenance in a factory operation. That's the biggest problem any customer will face, right? If you have an unscheduled maintenance, you're now shutting down the line, which means you're now not meeting your delivery demands and all of this stuff. So the solution that we built for them is essentially to monitor the current, factory floor machines and ensure that, we are able to react to messages that are, that are currently happening, but also proactively predict the direction at which this is going, right? And the other part of the whole predictive maintenance progression, each customer is in a different phase. For example, some have not even connected, and if you're connected, you're just collecting the data. If you're collecting the data, you're just doing reactive based maintenance. You're just reacting to what's happening, and then starting to predictive. And the last part of the nirvana is prescriptive maintenance, right? So once you do predictive maintenance, that's okay. Now the next step is your machines are now telling you how to run it so that it can be more efficient, right? That's the next level of this thing, where you go from predictive maintenance to prescriptive maintenance, and that's where everybody's after, and that's where they are going as well. So it's just awesome for us. Yeah,
That's fantastic. Now, I'm just curious in terms of the
sure.
benefits that they've been able to realize. I know it's a publicly referenceable success that you were able to create for them. And where is it showing up specifically in the business? When we talk about outcomes, when we talk about how life has changed now that this solution is in place, where is that reflective?
So they have started out with implementing a solution like this in one of their plants, right? And now they are checking to see, hey, how for the first time, then they have a single pane of glass where they can look at where the anomalies are coming from, where the things are happening inside their factory, and that's where the work has been done. And now they're now running it on a regular basis to say, hey, now what's my efficiency is looking like? How many anomalies am I seeing on a given factory floor level? And from there, they want to expand to other factories as well. So it's again, as you mentioned, it's a publicly referenced customer. There is a blog that we've written about it that folks can go check out. It's an AWS blog that was co-authored by us as well. So it's a really good use case for us, and it was a good learning experience for us as well.
So did you take advantage of this and create a new set of IP that you're going to potentially package up and bring to market? Something that would be like smart insights?
That's a good question. No, yeah. So we are launching a product, a solution called Smart Insights that is purely focused on industrial IoT. Again, it takes the two things that you need to do from an industrial IoT standpoint. One is being able to connect to the PLCs of the world to be able to get data from the existing line machinery. Then on top of that, now you want to be able to overlay the secondary sensor network, as we call it, right? Meaning, you're now adding additional sensors to for telemetry for other things, right? So you have the PLCs of the world, you have the secondary sensor network. How you bring all of the data together to be able to provide an insight to your operational efficiency. At the end of the day, that's all it matters. How are you doing operational efficiency? How are you doing RCA on a factory floor? So that's what Smart Insights is supposed to do. On top of that, now you need to have fleet management of all of your devices and across your industry floor. That also needs to be added. So what we are, so that's the product called Smart Insights that we are launching, and that's for us is going to be our focus from an industrial IoT standpoint, where we see customers greatly benefiting from that solution when we deploy it for them.
That sounds excellent. So in terms of a client experience,
Mhm.
how would you engage a client that is really well positioned to take advantage of smart insights? And really ultimately, what's unique about that experience that you alluded to before, being the ecosystem?
Yeah, so again, Smart Insights is built on top of all of the native IoT services rather than us building all of the, let's say, if I have to get technical a little bit, instead of hosting our own broker, we leverage AWS's IoT broker, right? So like that, we leverage a lot of the native AWS services to provide that scale for the customer, right? And how would we approach our customers if today the issues that we see is that a lot of industry data is very siloed, right? If you look at a line, there are multiple stations in a line, and each station has its own machine, and they connect to their own software, and right. The way we are positioning Smart Insight, and the way at the end of the day, it's how customers are going to benefit from it, right? It's bringing all of that data together. Right? How are you collecting? How are you able to connect all these individual systems instead of getting rid of the data silo, bringing it all together for them to be able to access? That's one. Second is freeing up the data. So nothing in Smart Insights is locking their data in any way. We're leveraging the AWS data, all the data services that AWS provides, DB databases that AWS offers. So they don't need to be staying inside Smart Insights. They can now open QuickSight and run their own dashboard if they want to. They can now open their tool of choice and go at the data if they want to, right? So that's sort of the democracy that we see. And like, just because they're using this solution doesn't mean that they have to stay in the solution. AWS is going to innovate faster than anybody can. So if tomorrow something else comes up, they should be able to go use that service to go against the data. That's how we see it, at least, right? So because we think that Smart Insights should just set up the data where it just now is accessible across all of the AWS services, so to speak. So yeah.
Love it. Ravi, I just want to thank you so much for joining us for the 10-minute POV. You've been just terrific. I'm excited to learn more about Smart Insights and seeing it really surface in the market and helping AWS and TensorIoT customers succeed to a new level. So we really appreciate it very much, sir.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I mean, there's an awesome opportunity for us. Stay safe. Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. You're going to come back and see us again with an update?
Absolutely. And I'll also, we'll talk about more about other customers that are starting to use Smart Insights and how this goes. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.